Yes, there we go. You have the link?
Hang on, refreshing. It's not showing up yet. If you make an announcement in SEKORA channel, I'll just copy your announcement.
Yeah. Yeah, we should be good to go.
Oh, do you have like this starting soon screen? I need to set that up because I usually just sit there in awkward silence.
Yeah, I mean, they can already hear us, so
I know.
can probably already start. Make that transition. There we go. Yo, what's going on, guys?
Hello, hello, hello.
Back on the stream. We're here with Bound to Divide today. And we're checking out, just setting up the audio a little bit. So we can hear Jules' beautiful voice.
Yeah, can you guys hear us all good?
I think it should be good, yeah. Just clipping a little.
Hey, there's mix warp.
But it should be good now.
Gablem, DK, Tarkin, Eva, there's Jomo.
Yeah, it's perfect. All right. Yeah, the music is supposed to be super low, so we're gonna keep that that way today. We just have it as a background music.
Sweet.
Yeah, just gonna wait a little bit for people to come in. We already have a lot of people on the stream.
Callum can sing.
We got DK, Tarkan, James, Tommy Splash, of course, Mix Warp. It's always the same names on your stream, my stream.
Yeah.
That's
It feels like I'm streaming.
yeah,
on my channel right
very true, very true. They're like, oh, which channel am I watching right now? Yeah, it's crazy. It's actually
Robert.
oh yeah, it's we have your remix in the background here as well on the stream or on the video. Very own Libelo. Can actually put that on. Let me just grab my Spotify, turn that off. Well, we're starting this episode with my own track, The Scent of Wood, with Chechi in the Bound to Divide remix.
This is SEKORA Radio with UOAK.
Put that on the background. Sounding sweet. Coming out Friday.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man. I think this is a good way to start the stream today about the story how this remix came together. So I wanted to get remixes of this track for a long time, but you know, life got in the way, so I never really got into it. And I was like, fuck, man, it's taking way too long. And then I already had the stems ready to go, and then I figured, you know, I really like to get a melodic house version, like a chill version of this track. And the first one I thought about was you, actually. So when I sent the stems over, I was hoping, like, okay, fingers crossed, maybe he can pull it off in 2 weeks. And then, yeah, maybe you tell him what happened with the remix.
Yeah, I was also like, because I had so much on, and I've actually been turning down so many remix requests lately. But then I kind of just listened to it, and I was like, hey, I think I have an idea for this, like what I can do with it, because I really love the chords in it, so I wanted to like emphasize them, and so I already had an idea. And then I just sat down, and like honestly, like 2.5 hours pretty much later, the track was done. And then I think I sent it to you like the next morning after I listened to it, and you loved it. So yeah, that was one of those tracks where it's just smooth sailing, like it just came together really easy.
Was one of my best mornings too. Yeah, like most people, they would dream of like a James Bond movie morning where they wake up on some tropical island with a beautiful woman next to them and they had just like amazing night. Like, and I woke up with a beautiful remix, and I was like, made me so much happier than anything else could ever be. So yeah, that was great. And that's why I also really like working with you, because first of all, you take your career like very serious, like your music, but not too serious. You're not, you know, you're a professional, but you're not, you don't have a huge ego. You're very easy to work with. And then you pull off this remix in like a day. I mean,
thanks.
That's like every label owner's wet dream, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think with anytime you commit to a project where it's, you know, like you're making a track, I think you got to just approach it with that, like, you know, it's got to just be done in one session. If it's not, then like you're sitting there with this 8-bar loop and you're listening to it over and over again. You go to sleep, you listen to the 8-bar loop again, and you just kind of lose any sort of vision that you have for the track. So that's like my approach to music in general anyway. Just pretty much finish the track immediately. Yeah,
same. I usually go about, most of the tracks that I've released were all tracks I made in one go, at least arrangement wise. Yeah, because I think otherwise you get stuck in the loop. You need to get out of that loop as soon as possible. You can always fix stuff later, and like I've had tracks, for example, In My Mind was a completely different track the first time I finished it, and then I added stuff later. Actually, I'm gonna turn this off and put on the Spotify again.
Okay, sweet.
Otherwise, you're gonna get claims.
Yeah, and maybe your voice popping in and with a whole different narrative.
Yeah, true. That's kind of weird too.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's yeah, we can actually put on your other track as well. Got the whole list, the whole SEKORA list. Yeah, so no, I totally agree. Especially most of the time, it's like this gut feeling. You know, if you're working on a track and it just goes as smooth as possible, just in one go, those are usually the best. The ones you have 100%. To force and like sit super long on, they tend to not be the best tracks. I mean, sometimes it works where, you know, you need a couple hours just to get into it, and then you get into that flow state, and then you make a track, and then it's good. But if everything on your track feels forced, then most of the time it's not going to be your best work.
Yep, I have a whole graveyard of tracks with like elements that are really, really nice, that work really well, and it's just like I can't get one element right, and I rewrite that section 100 different ways over the space of 6 months, and then eventually I'm just like, this track was never meant to be. I should just bin it. I have so many tracks like that.
Yeah,
I think
true.
Always like, and when you also listen to interviews with like big pop producers, they say the same thing. Oh, this track, like if it's a huge track that blew up, they're like, actually, this track just came together in a few hours.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Yeah, I also like the mentality of Mike Monday. Maybe you know him.
Yeah, I know of him. I haven't really.
Yeah, so he's a very big advocate of making as much music as possible and then just picking the best ones. And actually finishing tracks, which is quite important because two things, you learn to finish tracks, which have always been like an issue for me, like plowing through just to get a track done. So I really needed to force myself in the beginning, and now as you progress, it gets easier and easier every time. Just for practice, but also you need an actual finished track to release. I mean, you can make loops, you can make endless loops, but then you're never going to get anywhere. You become very good at making loops. So unless you're going to be a sample pack producer, then I think so. So quick introduction to today's stream. So last time I talked about inviting people to the stream for also some feedback stuff, but mostly for the sort of podcasting / interview type of concept that I've been thinking about. I've always wanted to do a podcast, but not in the usual sense of podcasting. So this is actually live. Yes, it is actually Jules sitting there in the shed, and instead of pre-recording stuff and then going over some questions or whatever, I do want to keep these things live. So as the streams progress, I do try to keep them up every week, so every Tuesday, which you guys probably already know of me. And I do try to invite other people more often. And Jules was one of the first that came in mind. Of course, he had latest released New Horizons, which you can hear in the background, but also the remix coming up. Plus we talk a lot actually on WhatsApp. Not enough memes though, so I need some more memes, Jules, if you got some good ones. It's usually business stuff, but I don't mind that either, because we're very like-minded in the sense that we're both, if I can speak for you as well, we're very driven people, and we made a career out of something that we love doing. And for me, it's always I get a lot of energy from working with people that have the same ambition and passion, even though you have a little bit of a different career path than I do, because you're more of a music producer. I'm more of a business person in that sense, where I have to run a label and a radio show and all that good stuff as well. But so this sort of platform it started with the stream, but now I've really started to grow more towards inviting people and just chatting about interesting stuff, and finding more out about the people that I actually work with, including yourself. So this would be the first episode in that regard. I'm not sure if we're ever gonna rename it to anything else, or how I'm gonna present it in the future. As for now, it's just a live stream, and then of course with special guests. So we'll be inviting more artists over to the channel. I'll also be inviting people that I work with, maybe like bookers, festival organizers, artist managers, that kind of stuff. Maybe some label guys from all over the world, and just to see what they have to say. I'm not sure if I'm gonna always do feedback, or maybe we do like a 2-hour thing where the first hour we would have, or the first hour and a half we would have the guest on, and then I can still do some feedback afterwards. Or maybe we can do 2 streams, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, I'm not sure if we're gonna get to a lot of feedback in general today, because I wanted to focus a bit more on what's in Jules's head, and ask him some questions on video about how he goes about his work process, about his experience working with me, but also with other people in the industry, like how he started, all that good stuff. And then since it's live, we also have the chat, and you guys can ask your questions if something interesting pops up and you're curious about how things is working out for us. So I feel like sparring with someone live like this, usually all these chats, they go in private on the phone or whatnot, and you talk about so many interesting points that I sometimes feel like, oh man, I wish I could share this with the audience. So now we can, because we haven't talked on the phone for a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, that happens often.
Yeah, so there we go. Now we're talking again. So Yeah. My first question, I would say, we had the intro, of course, with the remix. For me, maybe you've already explained this to your audience, and I think I've saw one of your videos about it. But like, how did you really get into music, and what was for you like the turning point? Was there one event where you decided, okay, I'm gonna do this as my profession? Is it like what did you used to do before that, and when was that moment in time where you decided this is what I want to do and I'm gonna go for it?
Yeah, for me it was like a pretty instant decision. So I was always like curious about producing music because I've always been like quite a musically obsessed person, like listening to music wise. And when I was a teenager, I played guitar in a band. And I grew up listening to heavy metal, so not really dance music. But then when I heard electronic music, I was thinking like, hey, like if you're just making this sort of stuff on a computer, you don't have to actually play an instrument or anything. That just sounds like fun to me. So
true.
I think I downloaded some music software at some point, like in my, I don't know, late teens, but opened it for about 10 seconds and got confused and closed it again. And then
Was it Fruity Loops?
I think it was actually Ableton the first time, but it was like an early version of Ableton, like 8 or something. And and then in like 2015 I decided to have another go at it, so I downloaded Fruity Loops this time and made my first track on there with the help of some YouTube tutorials. And off the back of that was like immediately like completely hooked. Just the rush of like creating a full composition instead of like picking up my guitar and trying to learn the intro of some Metallica song for like weeks. I sat down and in like, you know, a couple of hours I'd made a full track. It was a shitty track, but anyway, that was when
we've all been there.
Yeah, that was when I was like, okay, this is really fun and I could easily sit here and do this for the rest of my life. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that was like the moment I decided I wanted to do it professionally. So then from that moment, it was like, you know, as many free hours as I had, it was always just spent producing. And I was working in IT in London. And so I just used to produce on the way to work. It was like an hour on the train, produce all the way there, produce all the way back, get home in the evening. Spent a little bit of time with the girlfriend at the time, and then produce more. And yeah, I just took it from there. And then around like 2018, I made the move into full time. I'm sure everybody, like a lot of people have seen my full story, so I won't like go through the entire thing, but it was a tough moment, a tough couple of years for me. I spent like 2 years completely broke and in debt because I think I made the jump way too early. Like I wasn't ready. Right. I wasn't making enough money yet. But I just kept grinding away at it. And I think it was in like late 2019, just before the pandemic hit, I uploaded a video to YouTube. I just recorded myself making a Anjuna Deep style track in 2 hours. And that video, the algorithm liked it and showed it to a bunch of people, and it got like 30,000 views, and like really quickly too. And suddenly I had like a bunch of, I don't want to call them fans, but like people that were enjoying my content and they were like engaging with me. And then I was like on the beach one day, one weekend, and I got an email from PML. They wanted to have a call with me. And then Alex from PML called me while I was on the beach on WhatsApp. And he was like, hey, can you do some content for PML? So like suddenly I just had all this, like from not having anything and just like begging everybody to like work with me and stuff, to suddenly everybody wanting to work with me in the space of like a few months, and my career just suddenly blowing up. just off one YouTube video. It's like crazy.
What, did it also help getting involved with the PML guys?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I basically got put in front of their entire audience, which was way bigger than mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that has been a huge help, and obviously not just having their audience, but also, you know, they have continued to give me work. Like I still make tutorials for them and their various channels, and they pay me for that. And so yeah, it's just a great I don't know, avenue of income to have for me.
Interesting story, yeah. So because I have like a little bit of a similar story, but like you say like you think you jumped the gun like too soon by quitting your job completely. If you were to go back, like how would you do it differently, or would you do it the same? Because burning the bridges does give you some extra motivation, like for some people.
Yeah,
right?
I always think about that, like because I was kind of in a corner where I had to sink or swim. I think I put a lot more effort into what I was doing, and maybe I shaved a few years off the curve. So maybe it was like a blessing in disguise, but the stress that I put myself through and my family through was a lot. Like we were in a very dark place for 2 years. So I don't know if I would have done that again. Maybe just been a bit more wise about it.
Yeah.
I think I probably should have saved more money before doing that. Just, you know, to have a strong reserve of cash for at least like 2 years to survive. I had enough to survive like 1 year. And then when I was approaching that 1 year, I started panicking. And then I was like, I need to do, like I woke up every day and I was like, oh, I have a business idea. I'm going to do this. And then it was just, and then I was suddenly all over the place because I was just like, you know, grabbing, trying not to drown, just grabbing at everything.
Yeah.
Instead of just being focused on one thing. And looking back, like if I could just focus on one thing, I would have just put my head down and produced probably like, I don't know, 20 sample packs and put them out. And that would have just created this really nice stream of income, passive income, instead of me like being all scattered and trying to do different things.
Yeah, but it's also the way you learn, right? If you didn't experience that, you maybe not have known how to go about it anyway. I do get the point where, especially because, you know, that's the difference between you and I guess. You have a family to support. I never had that pressure, right? So when I started my music career, I was also broke, but all I had to do was, you know, be able to pay my my student apartment. So that wasn't really that much expenses, and I didn't have a family to support. So for me, the stress was less, but I still felt it, because you feel like, you know, am I doing the right thing? Is this gonna work out? Like how? And then just because you're strapped for cash, you try to you get involved in way too many things where you think, okay, maybe this can bring in something on the short term, while technically if you had enough money you wouldn't even do it. So it's like the money is pulling you in, and then when you think about it later, you're like, why was I even doing that? Because it's not what I wanted to do. If I just wanted to make money, I just get a well-paying job, you know. Especially you coming from IT, and I had something similar with economics degree, and now that the moment has come where you have enough money, you can actually focus on the things that you want to do. And the weird or the funny thing is, the side effect is when you focus on the right things, the money comes, it just follows sort of automatically. That's what I feel like, at least.
Yeah, I agree.
So when
it's like the long shots are better than the short shots, you know, like doing something for an upfront amount of money is never as good as putting like a bunch of work into a product or something that nets you money over the long, like especially passive income over the long term. Because I just, you know, I'm in a position now where I can not work for a month and my paycheck won't change. Obviously,
same.
if I neglect my work for like 6 months, then it will start taking a decline.
Yes,
but
then it will.
It's a lot more relaxing now. I'm not like too worried about missing a day of work or something.
Yeah, that's in my opinion the best position to be in, and it also motivates you and takes away the stress. Personally, I still, especially now, there's like quite a lot of stress because there's so many things going on, but it's the stuff I want to do. So it's just sort of everything. If you get too busy with stuff, it's just because, you took on a lot on your plate, but you actually chose to do so instead of being forced to do something just to get by and, you know, just to pay the bills and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I totally get it. And it's also because that was for me the most interesting, I think, also about you, because I found out about you through, I think, some of your tutorials. I've watched quite some of your, you know, how to make a certain sound, or especially like the Anjuna Deep type of videos that you've made in the past, the melodic house ones I've actually watched. And I think that's how I kind of found out about you. And then slowly also, you know, learning through your backstory that you do this full time, and seeing as you took a different approach that not a lot of artists or producers actually take. Because most, like the standard production or producer / DJ dream is, oh, I need to make a lot of music, I need to get good, I need to sign with the top labels, and then I need to become famous, do gigs, and that's how I make my money. While Corona, or the epidemic thing, showed us that most these touring DJs, they're not making a lot of money. There's only like the top, 1% or something, 10% that actually makes good enough money to sustain itself. But most of these guys I've known, like guys who are also doing gigs, etc., they still needed to get like a day job because it just doesn't pay the bills most of the time. So it's like, it's like
artists on like big labels like Anjuna Deep and stuff who are working day jobs.
Yeah.
And then sort of like playing gigs on weekends, and it's just crazy to me that they need to do that, and that they won't just like, choose to, I don't know, start a YouTube channel or something. I think a lot of artists are afraid to be viewed as like a teacher, because there's that old saying like, teachers can't do or whatever, so they teach,
right?
And so they're afraid of that. But at the end of the day, they might be spending like 8 hours packing a shelf, and then the weekend DJing a bit, and then you get something like coronavirus that comes along and cancels that, and then suddenly their whole stream of income has just disappeared. And that's what you saw actually over Corona. Suddenly you had artists like Marsh and all of those guys jumping on YouTube and doing track breakdowns and stuff.
True.
Because they're like, I've just lost my main source of income. What do I do? Like, how long is this going to last? It could last years, and I could be, back to square one. So
all of a sudden, you saw all these tutorials and sample packs by our artists popping up. They're like, oh, I need to make money somewhere. Let's just jump on that bandwagon. Yeah, it's very true. Let me check if there's anyone in the chat that had like a question or something. Just do like a quick little rundown. Everyone's there. Prash there as well. How's it going? No questions so far. All right. Burn the boats. Yeah, so like a little bit about like my story was I started making music during my studies. Like, I'll do the short version. And for me, like what I was aiming at for like your breakthrough moment, where you really decided, okay, I want to do this full time. So for me personally, that was, I always had this as a sort of hobby on the side, and never really, like, I wanted to become like well known and make a living in music, but I never fully believed it until I got invited by EDX to go to he was playing on Ibiza at Ushuaia, and I won this contest where I was invited to join him. So he hired like a private jet over the weekend, and we went there to party, which was it was the craziest experience in my life. I'd never been anywhere like backstage or at these type of parties. I never even been to Ibiza. That's like the first time and the only time I've ever been there. So then going with him, like one of my like guys I really looked up to, or still do. Like I see him now more as a friend. and a bit of a mentor, as opposed to like the artist, because back then I didn't know him personally at all. And then this whole experience for me, also getting to know, that's also when I met Daniela Nora En Pure. This was like 8 years ago. I think it was even before Nora En Pure was really launched. It was just like half a year before Come With Me came out, I believe.
Yeah, I think that launched her career.
Yeah, that's when it went viral, and that's also when I met Christian Hurt. So he's like Passenger 10, all these bunch of names that he produces under. And
Yeah.
I remember this vividly. We were standing on the streets, they were waving me goodbye, like, waiting for the train. And the last thing that Chris asked me was, so do you still want to do this? And that just really, like, that really ticked some box in my head. I was like, fuck yes, you know, I don't even mind swearing now, because that's really what I said word for word, because he knew how crazy the industry was, and he made a living out of it just being a producer, and not DJing or touring or all that madness. Basically sort of like how you do it, you know, you're a full-time producer, you're making a living within music, but you don't have to go on crazy tour schedules, at least not yet. I don't know if you ever want to do that, but
yeah, not really.
yeah, so yeah, and then I got to experience that, like, in a weekend of craziness with EDX, and like I also saw what it did to him, because he was exhausted all the time. It was crazy.
Yeah,
but it really motivated me, and it showed me that, okay, this music world is really kind of small, and it's not too far fetched. Like, if you work hard on your craft, you can definitely make it within music. It doesn't have to be as a touring artist. There's a lot of things you can do within music, and most of the guys and girls I know that work at labels or managements or whatever, they also make music to some extent, or they DJ, or, you know, it's all love for music, and not everyone can be the super famous superstar DJ artist, whatever. But I do think, you know, if you approach your things correctly, like you did and I did, and you work hard at what you want to achieve, you have like a clear vision or a clear goal, then I think anything is possible, really. So, and for me, I needed to believe that. So that moment when that happened was like the big breakthrough moment, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this my mission, you know. And after
what year was that?
That was 2013. So.
And when did you start SEKORA?
Huh?
When did you start SEKORA?
That was 2018. No, 2019.
Okay, so it was quite a
yeah,
while
it's quite a
after
gap.
that. So you just worked on your solo career.
Yeah,
pretty much from there.
Yeah, I just kept working on music. Then I think I started making money with music. Like, I got more successful in 2015. It was like the first couple tracks that were sort of picking up, and yeah, then later on in 2016 I started making money with it. I started figuring out, okay, the YouTube stuff, like you know, getting your tracks played by famous YouTubers, and also yeah, making money through Spotify and this whole playlisting game. You know how that kind of works, and how this figuring that kind of stuff out. So yeah, let me adjust the audio a little.
Figure that stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I've always said this to you, but like, it always amazes me that these bigger labels, they just don't have a strong playlisting network like you do.
True.
And it's just so strange to me, because like, labels obviously depend on making money, and the way you make money is through getting a lot of sales or streams, and so it's weird to me that they don't put a huge focus on that. Yeah.
So, like, most of the at least that's how I perceive it, right? Because I'll be upfront. I think like every release I've put out on both of my labels. So the first label I started was in 2016, which was Zero Claim Records. It's a bit of a different sound, but it's also still very similar. We've had some artists release on there, like Lie Below and Damaui, who also released on SEKORA. So I've sort of taken them over to SEKORA as well. It's getting worse. Oh.
What is it, my mic?
No, I think it's maybe my sound card. Could be. Maybe some distortion. Hold on, I'm gonna switch. I was already planning on getting a new sound card because I've been having troubles with mine quite often. Usually what happens is okay, no. Yeah, I've turned joules down a little, so it shouldn't clip anymore.
Okay.
It should be good now.
So it's not like packets dropping, it's like actual clipping.
Yeah, it was clipping a little, I think, but now I've turned it down, so it should be fine. Yeah, I wanted to get just list. Yeah, I wanted to get a new sound card anyway. So I have the Apollo Twin, like the very first version.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, hold on. I'm gonna change this.
What, did it only start recently, or has there been the entire stream?
Okay, it should be good now. Yeah, it just like, I don't know, it sometimes pops up during the stream, but this started happening, I think, since I got my new MacBook, the M1. For some reason, it feels like my old Apollo Twin is just not really, yeah,
like optimized for it. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like it's been doing like some weird stuff. So, and I wanted to get the new one anyway. So I think I'll just get the new one. Hopefully, I can still get some cash for this one. We'll see. I mean, it still works. It's still fine, but it might be a bit on the older side now. Yeah. So, where were we about? Yeah, the career stuff. Yeah. Also, yeah, the still distorting. Okay, that's weird. Hold on. Let me change. Yeah, I think it should be good now. Okay. Yeah, when it comes to the Spotify stuff and just making money for labels in general, like all our releases have always turned a positive. So everything I've put into it, like promotional wise, it's always we've always gotten it back. But I can definitely tell. Like I think a lot of labels don't have that because like I sometimes see the promotional budgets that they have for these tracks, and I feel like the amount of streams that they get or like sales, and I feel like, how are you ever gonna be making back that amount of money? They would spend maybe 1,000 or 1,500, maybe even 2,000 on some tech house or some house track that doesn't even get 100,000 streams. Like, how are you ever gonna make that back? But what has been the main driver for bigger labels, and I think this is also very good to understand as an artist, is they just throw stuff at the wall and wait for something to stick. So they get all the big profits they get from, let's say there's 100 releases on a label, like on a big one, the ones that pump out like track after track every week, the bigger labels. They just wait for a couple big tracks that they have also bigger budgets for, and they sort of make up all the money that they collect. And they also hope that there's going to be some outliers that just magically outperform by itself. You know, they either get picked up by editorials or whatnot. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you if you have 10 times the amount of chance, yeah, if you have a slot machine and you can try 10 times, you're gonna probably, the odds are bigger of you succeeding than when you just have 1 or 2 times to succeed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't feel that's fair towards the artist. So I always make sure that at least there's a minimum that every artist on the label gets, you know, and that's something you can only sort of achieve when you have the right promotional channels in check, and not just hope to get lucky. Because I think that's been the biggest factor with this whole playlisting thing. It's yes, it's very nice that, you know, I own a couple playlists that perform really well, but it's also so it gives us like this bare minimum of support for new releases, but it also puts me in a position where I can talk to other big curators and labels and such, where they would actually take me seriously instead of ignoring me. Because, you know, if you have a large playlist, you get spammed with submissions all the time. They try to email, they find your personal email. Sometimes I feel like, how do you even find this email address? Where did you come up with this? You know, they email me everywhere. It's always Instagram DMs, Facebook messages, whatnot. Which is fair, you know, because they're just artists trying to, you know, get their music out there. But out of all the hundreds of submissions, like most of the people, some of the only ones that get through are usually the people I already work with, because I know that for one, they send me quality music, and two, they can actually do something in return by either, you know, supporting us, or they have some playlist going on or stuff like that. Because it's very simple. It's only me and Greg running the label. We don't have time to check all these submissions, you know. So that's why I try to limit it as well, and also have some how do you say, some thresholds in check. So it's free to submit a track to my playlist as long as you do it on the Discord, because I do actually check those submissions on Discord. I don't respond to them, but I check them, and if it's something that I like, I'll add it, you know. I'm very fair when it comes to that. But it's already a threshold, so most of the time when someone spams me on Instagram and I tell them, like, you can only submit on Discord, and then they don't submit, it says enough. It's just like, okay, if you don't even take the time to just click on the link and then submit it there, then why should I even bother listening to your music in the first place? So these type of things, I guess, it helps. Yeah, definitely. Have you are you actually curating any lists by yourself?
I made a playlist recently, but that's not like I'm trying to I don't know, make some SEO friendly playlist. It's just
right.
It's just like bound to divide, select or something.
Yeah, anything helps though. Like just having a playlist like that, it already helps.
I just wanted to like show people what I'm listening to. And obviously, as everybody does, sneak a couple of my own tracks in there.
Oh no, bad boy. Yeah.
My voice is getting raspy. I don't know what to do.
That's annoying.
Distortion. Do you think it's feeding back through?
Let me try this. Yeah, I think honestly, it's my sound card. I'm trying something else now. Okay, you guys, is the Spotify audio also really bad or no? Okay, I turn it off a little. And then hopefully, yeah, that's definitely my audio interface. Yeah, I turn it off and on, and hopefully it helps, but just give it a couple seconds, because now it's we still have the delay of the stream, right?
So is your mic not going through the interface then? Or?
It is.
Why is your mic not good?
I don't know what it is. It's probably like the virtual channel that, you know, that routes the background audio, the desktop audio. That's the one that's distorting. Okay, it still is.
Maybe you should just turn it off for like.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn off. I'm gonna turn off my my audio interface real short. Hopefully, it doesn't crash.
Did it actually turn off? Oh, there we go. You know, Jules worked in IT with that fix. Yeah, it's good now. Yeah, I was looking at interfaces too because like I'm starting to play keys more and I want to like be able to jam melodies and stuff. But no matter what I do, I can't get rid of latency even with ASIO drivers. If the project is like one channel, then it's fine. But as soon as the project gets big, there's still a delay. And I was like reading about audio interfaces, and I put one in my basket, the Apollo Twin, but I think one of the later versions, and it's like, I can't even remember. I think it's like 700 or 900 pounds or something. And I was about to check it out, but then I was like, let me just Google and see if anybody's actually solved this latency issue by buying an expensive interface. And on all the Gear Sluts forums and stuff, everybody was saying, you notice a slight increase in like audio quality, but the latency not really an improvement from like a 200-pound interface. So I'm like, so what's the point of buying this interface? Why is it so expensive? And most people were just saying it's really for like the UAD plugins and stuff. Yeah, so it just seems insane that like, how are we in 2022 and we still have the same issue that has always been here, where you can't like just have a big project and play keys and have no latency? Why is that? It's insane. Like, we are sending rockets into space that can come back down and land themselves. Are we? You know what I mean? It's insane. Yeah. 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 Oh God. Now where's this gone?
Okay. Let me test it. Yeah, it should work now. Test audio? Yeah. It should work. I mean, it says I literally see it on my mixer in Streamlabs that it's actually
it should work.
That it's feeding. Okay. Cool. It should work now. All right.
Yeah. Dummy Splash says it works.
All right. Perfect. Good to have these guys. You know, like all these top-notch, high-quality sound engineer producer boys in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. It's always a hassle there. Oh, it's gone again.
No, it's just one person saying that. Just Nickel Cha.
Because it should work now. Okay. Well, anyway, I guess we'll hear it again. When?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. He says better.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We should be good now until it starts distorting again. But that's all right, because I don't want to overdo it. Don't want to go on too long. Anyway, so it's like. It's a nice pilot, you know, to trying to test this out. But I do like the platform. You also up for listening to some music, some quick tunes?
Yeah, let's see what people have made.
We're gonna go through the demos a bit faster today, so like no super detailed stuff, but yeah, just a general sense of if you like it, what we would check. We'll make a full playthrough and then. Go from there.
That's me.
We'll probably have to turn this down a little.
Oh, I don't hear that. Yeah, I don't hear anything.
It should. I put it in the sharing options though.
Maybe reshare your screen and audio, because maybe when you restarted your interface, maybe when Zoom changed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they can hear it though. But it's weird because you can hear me, but you cannot hear the screen audio anymore.
Yeah, can you just click share screen again?
Yeah. Let me check it. Share sound. Okay. Is it working now?
No. Anyway, how about this? I'll just open the same link that you opened and I'll listen through it at the same time.
Yeah, we'll just do that. I'll just do the playthrough here. You check out the track and then you give your thoughts as well.
It's on the live stream, right? We are doing Dutch.
Yeah, I really like this. Yeah, definitely. Someone's been definitely listening to Bound to Divide. I really like this track, man. It's high quality. I like that. Very cool. I think I'll really consider this for the label, honestly. Let me check this real quick. So, I think, have you listened to it, Jules?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I really like it. I like the vibe. It kind of reminds me a little bit of your tracks in combination with like Tim Green, Sebastian Leger, All Day I Dream type of stuff. And the quality is really nice. There's like a lot of variations. So I personally think it's so far like Birch's best track he sent into the stream for sure. Only feedback I would give is make this part around the 3:05 a little bit more interesting and a bit more inviting to keep listening. I mean, it's a really nice and chill, clean breakdown. But I feel like because there's a lot of really cool elements coming into this, that second drop, basically, you could already take snippets of that and make some custom effects within that breakdown to make it more dreamy and more spacey and like create a bit more tension in there. That's like the only thing I would say. Otherwise, yeah, I definitely think Birch, you should send it in as a demo. Like check your breakdown first, and maybe also Jules has something to say about it, and then definitely send it in as a demo. We'd love to like check it again. I also have Greg check it and maybe consider it for the label before anyone else snatches this off the stream, because I have a feeling sometimes, you know, that especially with your stream, Jules, A&Rs would actually check it and then, you know, pick out the good ones, because I know for sure that's how we signed your first track. I'm not sure if we actually told the story before about how we signed the first one. I think that was...
Wait, what was the first one actually?
Oh no, the first one was Day One. That was the first one, and I'm not sure.
I think Greg actually emailed me after seeing me play. No, maybe I'm thinking of Wait For You, but there was a situation once where I played like a set of unreleased tracks, and then Greg emailed me and he said, "Hey, we like that track. Can you send it to us?"
That's how we signed Wait For You.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know about Day One though. How did that happen? Anyway, but yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed listening to it. It gave me like all the like typical organic house kind of vibes.
Yeah.
And like all really pretty melodies and stuff. And yeah, it reminded me of like Sebastian Lega, like Pinkowitz said. So yeah, really nice. And I didn't really have too much of a problem with the breakdown, but I do kind of agree it could take you to somewhere new. My main thing was that the drums felt, especially the kick, feels kind of like it's lacking a bit of a transient on it. So I would reference like a Tim Green track and listen to his drums, because he has these really nice like the way he mixes his drums, they are very short, they're very tight, and they don't have like a painful click transient on them, but it's just enough where it cuts through the mix, and it sounds like really clean and punchy.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you just put your track side by side with one of his and like quickly A/B between them, you'll hear and just pay attention to each drum sample, like pay attention to the kick and listen to the difference between the kick and his kick and your kick. You'll hear like his kicks are kind of like on the transient cutting through the mix a bit more. The hats are maybe a little bit tighter and maybe even a little bit louder, but they're still kind of soft in the ear, so the transient isn't like this painful, like clicky, harsh transient.
Yeah.
It's something that I pain over for hours on end. Every time I finish a track, I like reference one of his tracks, and I sit there and I like try and get my hi-hat to sound the same as his, and it's like this constant battle. But that's where I feel like the difference between these guys that are like a way higher level and other guys that are writing stuff that feels like in a similar way but isn't quite there, it's usually in the way that the drums are mixed and how the track grooves.
True.
Not so much the musicality of it. So yeah, I would focus on that.
Yeah, it's definitely because like these I also referenced Tim Green a lot, and it sounds very simple, these tracks, but it's actually not. It's very okay. It might be simple, but it's definitely not easy. And there's like a lot of stuff going on in the background, and everything is mixed. So like it feels like organic, but it's actually really cleanly mixed. Which is it's really hard to achieve. It sounds like, oh, this is quite easy, but when you try to make something like that, it's a lot more nuanced than you might think. So that's very true. I'm not sure how he thinks about himself. Maybe for him, like everything comes very natural, and he's like, yeah, I don't really put in that much time.
I actually saw an interview with him, and drums are the things he struggles with the most. He said he finds the easiest thing is writing like the chords and the melodies and stuff. Like he just knows what note should come next.
Right.
And I'm super jealous of that because I'm not like that. And he struggles with drums, but when I listen to his drums, they sound amazing. But I guess he's just all round. He's on such a high level that, like everything is just way above. And even though he thinks he's not that good at drums, he is.
Well, maybe someday we'll get him on the stream too. We'll see.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, no, I really liked it, Birch. You should definitely send it in for consideration. Shall we just do one more right after? Okay,
yeah.
So Spotify links. We don't do Spotify links here. Only unreleased stuff. So okay, we have Dublin. That's like 6 more. 1, 2, 3.
We should do a Callum Can't Sleep track because his track's always great.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do Dublin as well. I think we're gonna do like 3 or 4 today.
Oh shit, I need to also do
it. It was working before, but yeah.
Yeah, we did test it before the stream. And it was working.
Yeah, I also don't want to like close Zoom right now. As long as everything else works, then I guess it's fine. Track. I do feel like the melody can, change a bit more, like filtering, adding some effects or reverb to it to change it, to mix it up a little. It's very static at the moment. Okay, it's better. I feel like this moment it could be washed out a bit more just before that drop. crackles are back.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Restart the interface.
Oh boy. Check this. All right. Hopefully should be better now. I think it should be gone. It should be gone. Usually when I switch it back and forth, it's usually gone.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts? Let's try and then hopefully we'll see in the chat.
Let's see. Let's see if the crackling's gone before I start
Yeah.
blurting stuff out. Is it gone, guys?
Let us know, guys, if it's gone, yes or no.
Yeah, we'll do what they said.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. So my thoughts are like the melody initially, I was kind of not really that interested in it, but as the track goes on and you hear it over and over again, it kind of grows on you, which is a good thing.
Yes.
And so yeah, I like the melody, but I'm going to complain again about drums. So I think the kick has this like really artificial kind of almost like a psytrance click on it.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I like it to feel a bit more like organic, you know, with like maybe a hi-hat as the click or something, just a more thumpy, not acoustic sounding, but like acoustic electronic sounding kick drum. The hats are also kind of like really smeared and loose feeling. I really love drums that are just super well mixed. So that's like mostly my thing about this. The rest of it, like musically wise and like arrangement, feels pretty good. I think maybe on the breakdown you could take us into a new place. It's not really like taking me to somewhere where I don't feel like I've been before, which I really like. In a breakdown, I want to be like taken somewhere new. But yeah, that's pretty much most of it for me.
Yeah, I sort of had the same feedback. I feel like the drums, the kick sort of feels loosely, like the drums are loosely on top of the kick or something. It doesn't feel coherent. Like it doesn't feel like they belong together for some reason. It feels like this kick is just like thrown in there. It doesn't really fit as much in the track. So it might be able to fix it when you buzz it together or group it together and like process the drums together, and it might fix it. But otherwise you can also try looking at altering the kick a little bit, or like Jules said. So I agree with that. When it comes to the melody, I feel like there could be a bit more automation going on. You can also like have a send channel with some effects that you open up sometimes, so it creates some sort of alterations to that melody, because it grows on you over time, yes, but I do feel like it's at some points it's too static. Whereas I like if it it filters a little bit, or there's some reverb that opens it up a little, or there's some delay or some stuff like that. So what I like to do, for example, I have a return channel with output granular delay, and then I sometimes, when it's an ARP melody or something like that, I sometimes open up some sends to it, so it creates these like artificial effects in the background, like these little particle sounds. It's very subtle, but it does add some extra dimension to your lead, especially when it's an ARP that's playing all over the track. So that's what I like to hear. That's where I think you can add something to this track. And everything else, I like the second drop, is really cool. It gives you a different vibe, otherwise it's a pretty good track. It's just I think maybe the lead could be tamed down like a little bit, because there's another lead coming in, but it just gets washed out by the main lead. You don't really hear it as much. So maybe try to rebalance those two leads, especially when that new one comes in. Like, create some space for the new lead to shine through a little bit more. That's it, I guess, so far.
I wanted to say I wasn't a big fan of that, how it drops into just a kick drum and the music. It feels like really empty to me, especially because the build-up hints at like the full loop coming in, and then the full loop doesn't come in. Like I don't know if you just play it from right before the drop, you kind of hear the drums fading in, but then they don't actually come in.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah, it's true. No, usually it's the other way around.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah,
but
something to reconsider for sure. Yeah, otherwise I like it. It just needs some more work, I think. So yeah, hopefully you can get this right, and we'll have another listen. Yeah. So Jules, like we heard your beginning story. I guess most people already heard it. I was checking your videos here as well. I'm not sure which one I think it's probably like the Lane 8 one. That's probably one of your first videos.
The one that blew up was that one down there, the track in 2 hours. Scroll up a bit.
This one,
That one,
style.
that was the first one that like pretty much launched me.
Yeah, I think maybe this one was the first I saw, and then shortly after you launched your Lane 8 start to finish, I think
that one also did really well.
Yeah, I think I stole one of the lead or the bassline sounds out of this one. So thanks for that. Yeah, no, it's I've actually really liked it. Like I was probably one like early on subscriber of your channel on my personal YouTube account, and I've been watching some of your videos. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so like we know like the background story, as you've told this quite some time. I'm curious, like, what is your future story? Are you a person that do you do goal setting? Do you have like clear goals that you want to achieve, or are you just more like I go as I
yeah, mostly I guess my biggest goal overall is really just to make really, really good music. So everything I do is kind of moving towards that, and like the business side of things is not a huge goal for me. Like I'm not trying to make a ton of money. I just want enough to support my music addiction.
Right.
So so most of my goals are I'm just trying to figure out what can I do to like take my music to the next level. So at the moment I'm focusing quite hard on like learning the piano and like classical training. So I'm taking that quite seriously now. Well, I don't know if it's that serious. I mean, I do probably like an hour a day of practicing the keys and stuff.
Right.
And yeah, I don't have any goals to go on a world tour or be a DJ or anything. Although, like, I wouldn't mind playing a few shows a year here and there.
Maybe Amsterdam Dance Event, for example.
Yeah, maybe that, for example.
Would that tickle your fancy?
Yeah, and I think I need to definitely like try and play a show or two before then. It's kind of, I don't want to come in as a virgin,
Right. We'll be gentle though.
Yeah. Okay, sweet.
We'll allow you to use the sync button.
Stand next to me, and if I fuck up, you'll just take over.
Yeah. We put the electric collar on. If you're out of sync, you get zapped.
Yeah. I'll just pre-record like a 1 hour set, and if I panic, I'll just switch over to that. Hit play and just stand there.
Can you imagine you have like a pre-recorded set, and then at the end you're like, yeah, the next DJ isn't there yet. Can you play for like half an hour longer? And you're like, what? No, no, I cannot.
Just start the set again.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And the thing is always with when you're playing at like ADE, like half of the people that are there are either DJs or producers. So they're always like judging the DJ. It's just, you can see them judging, just standing there by the bar with their beard. You're like,
making me feel better.
I would have mixed it somewhere later. Oh, did you hear that? He missed a beat. Oh man, that was out of sync. Ooh, stuff like that.
Never out of sync because I'll use sync.
Yeah, but sometimes you get unlucky, even if you're using sync. If you haven't put it correctly into Rekordbox, some tracks are horrible with when it comes to sync.
Oh yeah, I've had that. And fucked up pretty badly in my live streams before.
Ouch.
With it's like usually what happens is it detects like the
Transients.
downbeat on one track is fine,
Right.
but on the other track, the downbeat is where the clap is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have the clap landing on every beat when you try to mix it together. It's like,
oops. Lots of claps. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no. Yeah, the reason I'm bringing up ADE is actually I'm talking to the venue that we want to do the party again. So Jules and I, we've talked about it, and the party is going to be on Friday. We're still confirming, so it's not confirmed yet. But I really wanted to get Jules over. So I mean, yeah, nothing is confirmed yet, of course, so don't hold us liable for it. But the idea was to bring you over to Amsterdam for the Amsterdam dance event. And I was also talking to the venue about because most of our audience is also producers, and we also like to learn. And I have some good connections with also record label owners and other artists that I wanted to do a day program as well on Friday. So we have a Friday day program at SEKORA, and then it turns into a night event with like a drink in between. And the day event would be seminars. So we'd have live seminars, like 1 hour, for example, track deconstructions, but also like a panel. So what my idea was to get 3 producers to deconstruct one of their tracks. We can do like 2 or 3 SEKORA artists, and maybe you would deconstruct a track live, for example, or me or someone else, and then that would also help, like pay for the artist, like the expenses for the night event, and then also get like a panel where I invite some A&Rs from labels. We can maybe also set up some demo drop where you get live feedback from, for example, for myself or from you, or like an A&R from another label, like
what would be really, really cool
Mhm.
is like a live signing session where you actually sign tracks live.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea.
You bring them like paper with a golden pen that says SEKORA on it, and everybody stands around them and they clap and stuff as they sign.
Oh yeah, so perfect.
Like bust open a bottle of champagne.
Yeah, it's like right on the street. Pop some champagne inside the club. You're like, yeah, we got another one signed. Yeah, let's go, baby.
Yeah, like one of those Formula One podiums and stuff.
Exactly.
Like girls on the side and stuff.
Yeah. That would actually be really cool. Well, that's like, I know you're joking about it, but this is what we did with Dance Fair. So I used to work for Dance Fair and Music Conference in the Netherlands, in Utrecht, and we'd have demo sessions, like this huge hall with hundreds of people there, and also like tens of A&Rs. We've had A&Rs from Spin-In, from Armada, from like Future House Music. We've had Universal in the past, Be Yourself, and like all these big labels, and some of them actually signed. So there's a duo called, they signed to Spin-In. It's called Pep and Rash, and they make Future House. And back in the day, they actually got signed at Dance Fair. So not the pen on paper, right? But like their first release on Spin-In, they played it to the A&R at the event, and then they were like, yeah, we wanna sign you. And there have been multiple artists actually that were signed at the event. So that was
wow.
That's very interesting, because before that, like now, all these labels are quite involved, especially Spin-In has really over the years, I think Spin-In has adapted the best, even though that they're a big label. They've been very interactive with their audience, like hosting events at ADE, but also at Dance Fair. They were probably one of the best labels I worked with, as far as like the people that worked there, but also the ease of working with them. They were very, very open to ideas and very on it. They really wanted to get ahead, basically. So that kind of stuff. But before that, before we got all these labels involved, it was almost impossible to get in touch with them. Like no one knew, like Demo Drop didn't exist. We were the first ones to do something like this, and this was like 8 years ago, right? It was the first ones that where you could actually get in touch with an A&R from, say, Spin or Armada or Hell Deep, for example. Because even like the A&Rs of Hell Deep used to be there, right? So like Oliver Heldens wasn't there himself. He joined like 1 or 2 times at the event, Most of the time he was on tour, so he couldn't be there. But for example, his brother actually works at who really, really looks a lot like Oliver himself, except without the beard. But if he had a beard, you would think it was Oliver. And he was also an A&R at the label, and he was like there the entire day checking out tracks. And they actually signed some tracks to Helldeep as well there. So these kinds
really
of
cool.
this kind of stuff. This was always something like really passionate. I was really passionate about, because this could actually, for a lot of artists that felt like they were never heard, or you send out your demo to a label and they don't respond to you, and you're like, am I really this bad? Or most of the time they're just very busy, or they work with a select couple artists that were already proven to be good artists. So for example, like what we have, right? If you have a new track for SEKORA, then obviously I'm gonna hear that sooner than when someone I don't know sends in a track. That's just how it works. With SEKORA, I did, that's what I told Greg from the beginning. He started working for me, is that everyone that sends in a demo always gets a response. We don't leave any demos without a response. Sometimes it takes quite long to get back, but that's just because of the amount of work that we have to do. But I always wanted to at least give them a response, right? So to show appreciation that someone would send in their music to our label. But back in the day, this just wasn't the case. Like, no one would respond. You get ignored everywhere. Even by small labels would just ignore you. So we really made a big change, a big difference there. And it was just same goes for me when I started making music. Like at Dance Fair, when I wasn't working for them yet, I played one of my earlier songs to the A&Rs at Armada, and they were like that. And this was like my very first UOAK track, I think, where I made like a deep house track with some guitar elements. And this was back when Big Room was huge. So I made this track and I played it to the Armada A&Rs, and they were like, whoa, they were like really like surprised, like, wow, this is really cool. It sort of reminded them of Yours Foreign, and they're like, it's very refreshing to hear something like this, except like against the hundreds of Big Room EDM tracks that they've heard throughout the entire day. So I was already kind of early with that type of music, before it became so popular. And so that's what I also want to do with this event. But the whole like actual signing on paper, because almost every track that we get in has some feedback or something changed. It's very rare. I think Wait For You is probably one of the few ones that
I think
maybe you even changed something about it.
Yeah, there was. I think it was mostly with the radio edit.
Yeah, so stuff like that. So usually we finish that first and then we sign it. But I get your idea, and it's the same here. So with these feedback streams, when I say like send it in as an official demo for the label, I actually mean it. And then we would consider it then. So that's the same thing we would do at the event, but then it would be live. So you'd have me or you sitting across the table and just headphones on and listening to tunes, and then just telling you straight up, you need to fix this, or this could be better. Or the thing is, it's different to when you have someone giving you feedback on a stream. It's also depending on the type of person I usually adjust the way I give feedback to the type of people I have in front of me, because sometimes you can notice when someone is not able to take constructive criticism. It gets personal for some reason, because it's when you make music, it is personal. So for some people, it's quite hard to hear when something isn't good yet about their song. So you need to adjust it a little, right? But if you're in person and you can tell, like for example with you, I can be very direct. So type of feedback I would give sometimes on stream, I'd be a bit more, like careful what I would say. Yeah. But with your tracks, I would, because I know it's just, it's just professional. There's nothing personal. I can just like straight up tell you like, okay, I don't really like this part, and maybe change this or reconsider it. Because I don't want to dictate how you make your music, but I always, I'm very honest about what I do and what I don't like. and then I leave it usually to the artist to change it or not. And I think a good example was New Horizons. Like I had some pointers where I thought, okay, maybe make the beginning a bit more, bit more interesting, like have some more stuff going on. And you were very firm about, no, actually, I do really like this, and I've had some feedback of other people, and you stuck to it, and then I say like, okay, because for me it was never a must change. It was like it would be nice if.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the only times. I think that is the first time I've ever like pushed back against feedback, and because I just liked the track the way it was, and I just wanted to put it out like that. Yeah, no, and that's good, because I think that was maybe a bit of a miscommunication. So sometimes I would say like this needs to change when it's something that's just outright wrong. But when it's a preference, then I usually give feedback as in, you can give this a try and see if it works. And if it doesn't and you want to keep it this way, then it's fine, And that's what I like about you, because you're always open to that, okay, let's give it a shot. So. We're getting crackling again. Oh. Oops. Let me check that. Ooh. The crackling is back next week. All right, should be good. Next week I'll probably have a new audio interface, and hopefully it works. Right says, when can we hear a collab from Jules and Wes? Ooh, we've actually been working on something, but Jules didn't like my ideas, so he was very strict on me. He's like, yeah, label's never gonna accept this. This is garbage. It's not true. Nah, just busting your balls. No, we were actually working on something, and then I just get taken away by all this business stuff all the time. So I worked on the melodies, and then Jules was gonna check if he can work with it, but I also felt like it wasn't really as strong. So I'm not sure. Did you continue on that song, or? No, that's like I was talking about earlier. It's one of those tracks where I've written 10 million leads for it. I've tried collabing with another person on it. I tried collaborating with you, and it's just nothing is satisfying me, and I don't know what it is. I think it's just something maybe it's not the lead that's the problem, it's the arrangement or something. So I want to go back and like change the arrangement, but it's something that I just keep putting off because I have so many new projects coming in that I'm worried. I think this track is probably just going to die anyway. Yeah, I had the same feeling when I was working on it. I felt like I was really forcing melodies onto it. Yeah, it just didn't feel right. It's just like normally when I get into a track and I really feel it, then I write melodies super easily. I can really, I can just, well, I'm not saying I don't really hear them in my head, but when I play them, like chords and melodies, they come very natural to me. With this one, I was kind of struggling. So yeah, but maybe like, because I also have a bunch of stuff that, might need a different perspective on it. And I guess if I have something like Scent of Wood, for example, something like that has some chords and melodies, etc., that you would be able to turn into a track, then you also have a collab and vice versa, I guess. But I do think it's. I've realized about collaborations. What usually happens, right, is how collaborations usually start is somebody writes a track that they are struggling to finish, and then they go, maybe I need a different artist on this, so they send that track to the other artist, and it's like you're already like destined to fail because this track is it's a difficult track to finish. Then the other artist like sits down and tries to do something with it, and then they struggle, and then this never goes anywhere. I think maybe that's just the wrong approach for collaborations. Maybe it's like you should make something that is just flowing really easily, and then go, okay, I've been wanting to make a track with this person anyway. We've got this thing that's working already. Let's send it to them and like synergize the power of our skills and make
Let's
something
fuse
really
into
cool, you know?
one producer.
Yeah.
Fusion.
Instead of like,
ah!
yeah.
And
Instead of
we-
like falling back on that person and hoping that they can do what you couldn't do.
yeah, true. Yeah, it's
I'm starting
actually
to sound like a fish.
yeah, it's a very good question, and like how I usually go about it. So I've especially lately I've done quite a lot of collabs with Chechi, Light Below, and with Departure. And I feel like, so with Departure, it was the most collab you could think of, because we basically produced the whole track start to finish when we were both in the same room, where I was just filling away with some melodies, and like we were in his studio, and like, because normally when you're just producing, you get certain ideas, right? And it's very different when you have someone sitting next to you, like telling you what is cool and what's not cool and what to try out. So that's usually how it came to be, because you can only really have one producer sitting behind the computer, right? So that's how it kind of went with Departure, and like my input was mostly the melodies and like the sound selection and like which stuff to use, etc. And then we had his friend Rubenson, who I've also gotten to know now, do the vocals, and we recorded that in the Cloud9 studios in Amsterdam. So everything that about that track we've actually really made together. But most of the time with collabs, it's usually like one producer does like 80% of it, or maybe even 90%, and then the the collaborator that they work with that does like the finishing touch. And that's how, for example, with Scent of Wood, the most of the ideas were Chechi's ideas, and I just really finished the whole track and really cleaned it up so it sounded great. Because it had a lot of like mix down problems, and like arrangement needed tidying up, and some extra melodies and all that, just like really finishing the song. Because when he sent it in as a demo first, and then I gave him feedback like 4 or 5 times, and he just couldn't figure it out. He was so stuck in his own track. He needed some fresh ears, and like, so I told him like, okay, if you're not, I'll finish it for you. And then it took me like 2 or 3 days, I think, to like do some rewriting, and I really had to like remake the bass line and do some arrangement changes and all that kind of stuff, and then really mix it down properly. And it took the song to a whole nother level, really. But yeah, for example, the chords was all Chechi, so he's like the musical genius type of person.
He's a guitarist, right?
Yeah, exactly. But like without my help, it wouldn't have been the product that it is right now. So that's when I feel like it's an actual collaboration. It's like you really actually add something to a track. So, but I still 100% believe that we're gonna have an original somewhere soon, probably maybe this year or so. But I guess we'll see. So that's actually that's a good question. Heard right. Haven't seen you in the chat, by the way. Congrats on the label, or on the album. If you're still watching, really liked it. It's good stuff. I wish you would still drop some tunes on SEKORA, but it's a beautiful album. So, congrats on that. There's another question for Jules.
I think my mic is getting worse again.
I think that's probably my audio. There we go. Just play some music in the background as well, because then you can tell when it starts to crackle. It should be good now. Should be good. There was a question.
Do you have any advice on identifying a niche for making a sample pack? Yeah, when I choose to make sample packs, it's usually like I notice that I am struggling to find what I want out of the sample packs that I have. So I will then, set time aside and try and make the sounds that I want. Still crackling? Mic is worse.
Give it a second.
Let's see. Maybe it's maybe there's just a delay on the stream. Because did you turn it off and on? Oh, really bad now.
Yeah, turn it off. Okay, let's try now. Hopefully it's better.
Okay, test. See, is it better?
Hope so. Ah, man. I don't know what's going on here.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna switch off my interface again and see if that helps.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, is it back on?
Now let me check my mic. Test audio. Should be working. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. It's better. Yeah, so just to continue on my answer.
Yeah.
Aside from producing what I feel like I'm missing, sometimes you just get a cool idea for a sample pack. Like, you know, people can never get enough of vocal sample packs because they get old really quickly and they get abused. So if you can find a singer to work with, that's always a good idea.
Yeah.
I recently started making a new sample pack with a percussionist who actually he's played on a Michael Jackson track and 3 David Guetta tracks and a Bruno Mars track, and he's played for Sting live in concert. So he like really knows his stuff. He's actually from the Netherlands, and he's in his middle ages, I'd say. He's been doing this for like 40
Middle
years.
ages.
Yeah.
Right.
And so yeah, I just had this idea to like find somebody who's like a really experienced percussionist to play like a whole bunch of grooves on like African drums, like
Sick.
djembes and bongos and just all weird like world percussion instruments, and then put a pack together like that. So that's like my latest project I've been working on for like the last month. He's just like sending me all the recordings, and I'm picking and choosing what I like and putting it into loops and stuff. It's a huge project, but like
That's really cool, man. So how do you go about it? Do you then send him some music ideas and then you let him record samples for you, or?
well, I just basically told him to put down like a basic house groove, like kick, clap, hat, and play around that at different tempos. Because this guy, like, you must hear the recordings he sends me. I barely have to change any timing or any quantizing. Everything is just perfect, because I mean, this guy's been doing this every day for 40 years, like live in front of thousands of people. So
Yeah.
you know, he's just perfect on the beat. So it's been like an absolute dream working with him. So yeah, he knows what the groove is, and there's no effort for him. And he's got all the instruments in his own studio, and he's got them all mic'd up perfectly. And yeah, so it's been really easy process.
And how do you usually go about finding these type of people to work with?
I found him on Sound Better. I just put out
Interesting.
an ad, and well, I didn't put out a job. I actually approached. I just browsed through it and looked at all the credits and looked for all the really experienced guys, and I interviewed like 2 or 3 of them, and some of them not really what I was looking for, and they didn't quite understand what I wanted. And then he was just awesome, and he knew exactly what I wanted. So yeah, I went with him. And
That's really cool, man. Yeah. I really like that. And it's also also like coming back to the PML guys a little bit. So when I was in Berlin like last month or a month and a half ago, I did a seminar with them about how to monetize your music, right? And my part was about, you know, how to make money as a label owner, but most of it comes from Spotify. But obviously, if you sign your track to a label as an artist, then you lose quite some of that income, because, you know, that's the fee that the label takes for promoting your music. But a lot of artists, they just stop there. They just monetize through they feel like, oh, I need to wait for my royalty statements, which, let's be honest, is usually quite low. You know, you need really big numbers to make a living out of it. I mean, I make a living out of running a label, but that means I have a lot of artists that release with me, and I need to monetize all those songs. So can you imagine like how hard it is for just one artist to monetize enough with their music coming from royalties? It's almost impossible, you know, unless you're like a superstar. So most of the DJs, producers, they get it from gigs or touring. But yeah, if that's not your lifestyle, then you need something else. And like, you've done it perfectly, where like a really good example was when we released the Wait For You EP. So with Wait For You and So Alone, like one of the tracks, I think the breakdown of Wait For You was on the SEKORA channel, and the other one was on your channel. And
I didn't actually break on the other one.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, it was just that one on SEKORA.
Yeah, and then you sold the project file as a project file for people to learn from, and did quite some sales as well, which is like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not like a lot, but it's still nice. It adds up, and like all these small income streams, they add up to, and especially like the first month or so, I was kind of surprised, like, whoa, okay, this is actually doing a lot more than the royalties usually do for a release. Then of course this was one of the better performing tracks, so eventually the royalties, they gained on the sales that you did. But just being able to release a track with a label, and the label takes care of the promotion, so it becomes a bigger track, you get a bigger audience for it. But there's so many ways to then still monetize your own track, by either doing a deconstruction video, or creating a sample pack out of the sounds that you've used or created, or some sound design or stuff like that. And I feel like that's, for a lot of producers, is a really nice approach to being able to go independent and not rely on a day job anymore for your income, for example. And creating these these sort of passive income streams, and then slowly building on those can actually create can create a nice income for yourself, which is something that you've successfully done. So that's what I really like. And then hearing these ideas, that everything that you're coming up with, so yeah,
and you gotta just keep on going and coming up with ideas. I mean, every time I speak to Francois from PML, he's always telling me like how many projects he's working on, and it's like, I think he just really loves what he does, because he's just constantly got new ideas and working on new projects with new producers, and he works with really big guys too, like Ben Verma and stuff. But yeah, I think if you want to, for anybody that wants to do this full time, thinking that you're gonna put music out on Spotify and just live a comfy life, unless you're
no way, Jose,
collaborating with The Weeknd or something, it's probably not going to happen. I mean, even like guys like Lane 8, who's getting, I don't know, how many streams a year do you think he's getting? Probably like 50 million streams a year or more. It's probably still not a definitely decent more. It's probably like still like close to minimum wage what he would be making after like the cut from the label and expenses on like all the deductibles and stuff.
So how does he has like 1.5 million monthly listeners or so. Let me check.
Something like that, or maybe more, I don't know. Let's see. 2.2. So
okay, but he's like an extreme case, right? So let's say if everything was his own label, right? It was a sort of self-release, which it technically isn't, because this never happened. Most of his successful tracks were on Juna Deep, so that they probably take like what 70 or 80%. But let's say it was all on his own label on This Never Happened. So he gets, I think they pay like a 30% distribution fee, something like that. I'm just guessing here. His monthly streams, so not monthly listener, but monthly streams, is probably close to about 5 or 6 million streams a month. So that would net, let's say 60 or 70 million streams. Then to get that amount in euros, you get about 2,000 or 2,500 euros per million streams, something like that. If you're streaming in good countries, let's say 2 million streams, or 2,000 euros for a million streams. Yeah, it's quite on the low end, but let's say like that. So then, if you multiply that by 60, you get 100,000 or 120,000 euros on a year basis. But about 30% goes to either distribution or label fees, and then you also have to consider all the costs that they have for promotion. So the bigger the artist, usually the higher the cost that they invest into promoting a song. It's not like he puts a track online and it automatically just becomes a hit or something. Yes, he has momentum and they have to do a lot less now, but there's still promotional fees involved. They still need to pay like networks to promote it and all that stuff.
Yeah, they do still like social media ads and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So if you deduct all that, all those costs, then maybe for just the royalties, he would get like, I don't know, 50 or 60,000 a year, maybe 80,000, which is quite nice, but it's not jackpot type of money.
Yeah. If you want like Post Malone money, you got to be Post Malone,
Yeah, it's a lot, but like now we're just talking only about Spotify, right? And he also has a lot of
I
Apple
think
Music,
off the back of having a successful
downloads.
record, you make a ton of other money through other avenues like placements, sync placements and stuff.
So I think everything together, considering that he has like half of his tracks on a different label and then half of it on his own label, and then with the sync and everything, I think he maybe makes like 150,000 in royalties on a year basis, something like that. And it really depends on the type of sync deals, because I've had friends, for example, that had tracks that they got like 50k just from one sync. It happens, especially with like more pop type music, but it does happen, and it's really weird. But yeah, just going off of Spotify streams, they do really well, but I think it mainly comes from his label. His label does probably like 4 or 5 times the amount of streams he does by himself. Because he has guys like Ben Böhmer and probably was a Tin Licker and all these, just a lot of very well performing tracks on there. So it's definitely the label that's a good cash cow for them. Same as it is for me, like if I only had to rely on what I was getting from UOAK streams, even if I owned everything myself, I would probably not be able to live off of that. And I have like 5 million streams a year, something like that. The last year I had 5 million streams. So hopefully there'll be more this year, but yeah, most of it definitely comes from label now. UOAK is not the only artist that I've produced music under, so I have more streams on other profiles, but those died out a little bit, whereas the label streams with SEKORA is growing. So yeah, I definitely, like, when I learn more about how you approach things and how PML does it with their artists and everything, it really got my attention. Not to, I need to make more money, but it's a nice diversification of income streams, because that's also what I try to do. Most of it has been built through Spotify, and that's how it sort of started. But now everything is being more diversified with, downloads and sync deals, and trying to create income out of other places. So also with the radio show, it helped a lot, because now we're getting more copyrights and neighboring rights, because everything is being played on the radio. And so that's something that we're really working on now, and also encouraging our artists. That's why, like, we've like lately we signed up for neighboring rights collection, and now we're also being able to offer that same deal to all the artists that signed with us. So they get better representation for their neighboring rights, which will be increasing this year since their tracks are being played on the radio show too.
The radio plays are worth a lot more money than streams.
Yeah, exactly. And now is
I
that
think I saw it's like
yeah,
like
and
€6 or something per play, or it depends, I guess, where it gets played. But
yeah, it depends on where it gets played. But the good thing is, so since I checked it last week, the amount of listeners that we get, and our reach is already at 1.2 million streams a month, like for radio view or radio play. That's something that most people don't know, because you see SEKORA radio, it's being uploaded on SoundCloud and YouTube, and like the streams are quite nice, but it's not crazy amounts. But the thing that you don't see is behind the scenes is that it gets sent out to radio stations worldwide through our partner, and also the stations that I know, for example. And that's where we get a lot of airplay from, and that also pays. I mean, it's probably not as much as it costs to get my radio show on those stations, but for the artists, it's a bonus because it doesn't cost them anything, and it only they may only make more money basically, because everything that's being collected goes straight into their own account. Like we don't. From the artist side, you have like the artist side and you have the label side. So the label side we collect, and then we take a percentage and then we pay that to the artist. But the artist side, which is also 50%, goes straight to the artist. So that's why it's very important.
Straight through the performing rights.
Through the society. So that's why it's very important as an artist to just sign up. Like most of the time, you can sign up for free with your local societies, like the neighboring rights, but also the copyrights. And as for the neighboring rights, like everyone that's signed with SEKORA, we can introduce you to a company that I work with, who also works with Lane 8, by the way, since we're in that team anyway. They do his collection as well, I've heard, and they do collection for Monster Cat and for multiple other labels. So they're quite big, and they really know what they're doing, and they just have a way of just collecting more money basically. Whereas usually like just the associations, each country's association is just, I don't know, it feels like they miss out on some of the money that's being collected. So they make sure it's being done correctly for you, and they sign you up with all the associations worldwide. Sometimes you have associations that don't pay your local association, so that money just gets lost, and this company makes sure that money is collected. So that's quite nice.
I got an email, like a cold email from some company. I can't remember who it was, but they pretty much pitched me the same exact description you just gave me. Their whole job is to go out and
I'll introduce you to the guys.
But I was like thinking, they're probably going to want to charge me like €1,000 a month or something.
No, actually, no. They just take a small percentage, which is quite a fair deal. Plus, like if you go through me, like I can't discuss details, especially not on stream. But if I introduce you, then they'll get you a good deal. So we'll get that sorted soon. First, need to set up all the label stuff, and then I send out the email where all the artists can sign up if they want. It's optional, they don't have to. But Red
said Sirius XM paid $48 for one play. Damn, that's pretty good.
That's nice.
And if you have a track that they really like and they play that,
if you get into rotation
every day, 2 or 3 times a day, that's a pretty decent paycheck.
I'm curious. Since you're on the chat anyway, heard right? I got a question for you, because you're signed to Purified, and Nora and Pure has they always premiere the Purified radio on Sirius XM, and I know I've gotten some money from it as well, because she usually also plays my tracks. But since you signed to the label, did they get you into Sirius XM chill rotation, like on their radio, their like regular radio, so outside of Purified radio? Did you get into rotation there? Did you like what did it do for you? Especially now with your album, I'm pretty sure that they pitched it to the curators at Serious XM or something like that. Let's give him a...
Just to let you know, I gotta go in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I wanted to say the same. I want to finish on this thought. Yeah, the other tracks, the feedback tracks, we'll have to wait. You guys can post it again next week. So Callum and sorry we couldn't catch your demos. You can send them in next week if you want feedback, or if you think it's suitable for the label, you can always send it in as a demo. You always get feedback there as well.
If I were you, I would cut that track. If that's the one that Callum sent last week, that one was a banger on the stream. I enjoyed it.
Okay, yeah, I'll listen to it after the stream. I'll listen to it by myself. Because I wanted to cut it at 2 hours too. That's more than enough. Need to get some sleep.
Yeah, I gotta be up at 6. Get my kids to nursery.
Ooh boy, that's early. Do you have any closing thoughts? First of all, thanks a lot for joining. Of course, I really enjoyed it. I always enjoy our talks, but now we have it on stream as well.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it too. I don't really have anything I want to cover or anything.
You just want to get some sleep.
Yeah, it was a good chat.
All right. Well, I don't think we're gonna get an answer to that question, that last question. But yeah, we're gonna finish the stream up here. Yeah, sorry for the guys. It wasn't really a feedback stream today, so we did 2, of course, but probably next week again. We'll see how it goes. I'll still try to check out the tracks, give it a listen, and if it's something that I really like, then I'll get back to you guys. Maybe give you some feedback on the feedback channel. So don't worry, I'll check it out. But I wanted to give this a try and see how it goes. But I think we have a template here that could work, especially if I have a new audio interface that works. That would be nice. And then hopefully next time I can get some more artists involved, or some business people, for example, some label owners or whatnot. And do a bit more of the podcasting interview type stuff, and get to know the people that I work with, also the artists, which is also like especially the Instagram reels, like the interview stuff that we started doing about a month ago. That's something I also really like, so you get a bit more of a in-depth view. Like most of you guys already know Jules, of course, but there's a lot of other artists on SEKORA that you don't know about, and they also have their story to tell, and that can come up with some interesting topics and questions that they might have for me or for their experience in general. So yeah, thanks a lot, Jules, for joining, and thanks everyone for viewing this one. The stream is gonna stay online, so you can rewatch it if you want, if you can get some golden nuggets out of this stream. And then next week, hopefully, I'll be back with feedback stream. And then the week after, we're going to try another one of these interview type things and get another artist or someone like that on the stream and see how that goes. So thanks a lot. And thank you, Jules. Talk to you soon. Sweet. Probably this week somewhere for the release. Don't forget to check out the track if you haven't already. It's going to be out on Friday. It's going to be the Scent of Wood Bound to Divide remix. You can already check it in the latest SEKORA radio episode if you want. And then, see you guys next week. And we'll talk soon. All right.